You know, over the past year or so, there's been a business deal in the entertainment business that's been going down. That business deal, of course, was between Disney and Fox, mostly the 21st Century Fox portion of the overall Fox company. Now, for months we've been hearing about this. Like I said, for the past year we've been hearing about this happening, and in the past several months, the final details, if you will, the final steps that Disney needed to take to acquire Fox were in session, if you will. They were basically securing the final rights to, close the deal and make it a reality. Today, or at least this week, a couple months ago, was set to be the day in the week that the deal was going to be finalized, that Disney was going to complete the merger with Fox and make a lot of the television and motion picture properties of Fox part of the Disney family and library. Well, originally scheduled to probably go down and be completed and finalized at midnight tonight, thus entering us into the first day of spring tomorrow, it actually went down a lot faster. And that's the one thing about the entertainment business is, or any kind of business, when you want to get it done, or you want to get a business merger or some kind of business acquisition done quickly, this is the best. Sometimes the speedy ways are better than the normal ways, if you know what I mean. It's like get it done, boom, boom, boom kind of deal. And that's what they did. They got it done, and now Disney owns Fox. Well, at least they own, like I said, the motion picture and television distribution portion of 20th Century Fox and Fox in general. They don't own all Fox properties. No, they don't. The only Fox properties they don't own are Fox News, Fox Sports, and several other Fox affiliates that are in that category. But what they do own, like I said, is a lot of the television shows and motion pictures that have been distributed and showcased and filmed and basically been licensed under the Fox name. But now the biggest question that a lot of people have is what comes of this merger, like what's going to happen with certain properties. One of the bigger properties that gets talked about is The Simpsons. Exactly what's going to happen with them. Sorry, I just had a bee go right in front of me. But like what's going to happen to them? What's their future? And a lot of people have always been suspicious as to what that future could be. And fortunately, The Simpsons, believe it or not, have been renewed for another season or two. But here's my take on this. Here's my take. Since Disney now owns The Simpsons, in a sense, Simpsons are now part of the Disney family, Disney's probably, at least for these next season or two, they're going to let The Simpsons be. They're going to let the people behind The Simpsons, keep The Simpsons going as they usually do, but on one condition. And that condition being that if they have one more season in mind after this upcoming season, then that last season is probably either going to be its swan song, or it's going to be, or if they're able to continue it for a few more seasons, which just when you think a show like The Simpsons is going to die, they just keep rising back up and getting renewed. I guess the ratings they bring in is good enough to make that happen. That I would not be surprised if they have the last season, if let's say one of these two upcoming seasons is the last one, or if they continue on, like I said, don't be surprised that Disney might stick their nose in there. Because the way it looks like with this Disney-Fox merger is they're going to let Fox do their own thing. They're going to let it's going to be, I'll put it this way, it's going to be like Lucasfilms, and it's going to be like Lucasfilms and Marvel. Basically, even though those two properties are under the Disney license and part of the Disney family, they're allowing them, as part of this agreement and merger, to do their own thing. Basically act like they're not part of the Disney family, even though they are. And even though at the end of the movies, if you watch everything, even up to the end credits, you see basically the Walt Disney name. You will see Lucasfilms copyrighted the Walt Disney Company. You'll see Marvel Studios copyrighted the Walt Disney Company. And now you're going to see 20th Century Fox copyright the Walt Disney Company. Like I said, you're going to see that now. But the way they treat them, like I said, is they're probably going to basically let them do their own thing. And that's basically what these mergers are about. Bringing them into the family, but still letting them do their own thing. And that's how I look at them, probably with The Simpsons maybe, in the next couple of years. If they don't stick their nose into The Simpsons too much, The Simpsons will still be as they are. But, like I said, don't be surprised if maybe they do stick their nose into there and say, look, if we're going to keep this show going for another couple of seasons, we got to tone down a little bit of the adult humor, or a little bit of the so-called raunchiness, if you will. We got to tone that down so it'd be enjoyable to everybody. The same's going to go with American Dad. The same's going to go with Bob's Burgers. All these popular shows that basically, you know, everybody enjoys watching on Fox's Animation Domination, unless Disney basically allows Fox to, you know, like, still continue doing their own thing and acting like nothing has happened, then only then can we breathe a sigh of relief. But what I'm saying is, don't be surprised if in the next couple of years, if these shows continue to air, or they get bought out by another network or company so they can still continue being as they are, don't be surprised if Disney does stick the fingers into each product or each show and say, look, you can keep it the way you want, but we need to tone down a little bit of the adult humor so that everybody can enjoy it. So again, like I said, don't be surprised if maybe that starts happening and you start noticing a tone down in the adult humor of shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad, Bob's Burgers, you name it. Do not be surprised about that. And don't be surprised, unfortunately, if some of these shows get the chopping block, just because of the reputation they have and the adult humor that they sometimes, and raunchiness, I should say, that they bring to the table. In fact, if I was to look at two shows, or any, well, not just two shows, but a couple of shows that Disney might consider chopping and, you know, cutting ties with, those shows, in my opinion, would be Family Guy and American Dad. I hate to say that, because they'll look at shows like Bob's Burgers and The Simpsons, and they'll be like, hey, these shows, they just need to be retooled a little bit, refixed, but they can remain with us. Well, they'll be easier, because to them, The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers might be the shows that they can tone down the most compared to what you get with the Family Guy and American Dad. So don't be surprised, like I said, if those two shows, Family Guy and American Dad, probably get their ties cut with Disney, but I wouldn't worry about them though. I wouldn't worry about them because I think Family Guy and American Dad will find a home with the Turner family, that being TBS, TNT, and Cartoon Network's Adult Swim. So don't worry about them, you know, being led astray. Maybe even Comedy Central, but again, don't worry about them being led astray because they'll find a home. They'll find a place to go. And that's the same could be said for The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers if maybe after a couple of years they decide to cut ties with them. But again, to me, Bob's Burgers and The Simpsons are more, in my personal opinion, are more basically suitable for Disney to kind of tone down when it comes to their adult themes and raunchiness than Family Guy and American Dad. But that's just my opinion. The other thing a lot of people wonder about is exactly what's going to happen with the movies. Well, I'm going to put it this way. Any movies that have come out in the past and are currently in development and ready to come out are now going to be part of Disney. I mean, the word's been going around that Dark Phoenix, even though it's going to be distributed under the 20th Century Fox label, will be the first to be distributed under the 20th Century Fox label that's now part of Disney. So in other words, it will be the first Disney 20th Century Fox movie to be distributed. So it's not just 20th Century Fox that's going to be distributing it. No, it's going to be 20th Century Fox courtesy of Disney, copyrighted of Disney to distribute the movie. So don't be surprised if they change that classic 20th Century Fox and it says Disney's 20th Century Fox on the top. But I don't think they would do that. But what I'm saying is, I believe it'll be the first, like I said, movie to be distributed under the Disney Fox merger. But it's probably going to say 20th Century Fox, and then on the bottom it'll say copyright Walt Disney Company, or at the end credits it will. I don't know, but it will be the first. And any other movies and properties that have come before and will be coming afterwards that are under the 20th Century Fox property are all going to be Disney property. That's basically what I'm getting at. Like, even though Disney is going to let the Fox portion they now have kind of be their own thing, like they do with Marvel and Lucasfilms, you'll still be able to tell there's going to be a Disney influence, a huge Disney influence. And like I said earlier, don't be surprised if Disney does start sticking their fingers and their noses into some of these properties, into some of these movies, to make sure they fit the Disney style, or at least the Disney forefront. Now, the good news is, though, they are going to allow R-rated movies, but Disney, when it comes to the streaming service, Disney Plus, is not going to allow these services or these movies to be showcased on there. Instead, from what I understand and from what we have heard, all of us that is, Disney has made a deal with Hulu to distribute these R-rated films, whatever they may be, Blade, Deadpool, you name it. They're going to allow them to be distributed onto Hulu after the run in the theaters. So when they come to home video, they're going to be distributed under the under Hulu's streaming service, because Hulu is more capable, I guess, is more freelance, I guess, to allow these kind of movies to be seen. So if you see a third Deadpool down the line, or you see an R-rated Blade when it comes out to theaters and then finally comes to television and home services, do not be surprised if you find out it's going to be on Hulu Plus. So yeah, Disney is going to be home to a lot of the MCU movies and a lot of the Star Wars movies and any other 20th Century Fox properties that's going to be under their names. But that's only going to be because they're going to be home to G to PG-13 rated films, while the R-rated ones are going to basically be stationed over at Hulu. So even though Deadpool, just checking something there, but like I said, even though Deadpool would be an R-rated film and still be distributed under the Disney name through 20th Century Fox, when it comes to, like I said, to home video, streaming and all that later on, it's going to be part of Hulu. That's essentially it. So let's say right now Deadpool and Deadpool 2 and Once Upon a Deadpool, and I'm just checking my time there. But like I said, let's say Deadpool and Deadpool 2, which are R-rated movies, are available through streaming and all that. Don't be surprised if they end up leaving whatever streaming site they're on, and instead of going to Disney Plus, sorry, I had to get my dog out of something she's not supposed to be in. But anyway, instead of being like on Disney Streaming Plus, they're going to end up on Hulu. But like I said, as far as like the G-rated to PG-13 rated movies, they're going to be Disney Streaming Plus bound. Now, you might say, well, what about the properties that, like the general properties, like animated family properties that were distributed? Like I said, a lot of those are going to be under the Disney license now. And even though they're always going to be confirmed, or like I said, even though they're going to be pretty much connected as being 20th Century Fox distributed, basically in the long run, they're going to be part of Disney now. So, I'll give you an example, a strong example. Titan AE, which I feel, my opinion, is an underrated film, is now part of Disney. Yeah, and that is now part of Disney. Being Titan AE. It's a Don Bluth film, but it's part of Disney now. You know, any other properties you could think of that have been under the 20th Century Fox distribution over the years and decades are now part of Disney. That's essentially it. Any classic movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s, and 80s, now under the Disney name. Some of them that might have that R rating, guess what? They're going to end up on Hulu instead of being on Disney Streaming Plus. On Disney Plus, the new streaming service. So, yeah, basically anything Fox that's associated with the Fox movie and television licensing over the years that have been distributed by Fox Television and 20th Century Fox are now part of Disney. And basically what that means, like I said, is some things could probably stay the same and some could probably change. You know, we look at Marvel and Lucasfilms, even though we know they're part of Disney, part of the Disney family, Disney treats them like they're their own thing. Like, you go and see Captain Marvel, or you go and see Avengers Endgame next month, or you go and see Star Wars Episode 9 at the end of the year, if it's still going to be coming out, and you notice there's no do-do-do-do-do kind of beginning or Walt Disney logo at the beginning, right? Instead, you get basically Lucasfilms, and that's it. Or you get Marvel Studios, and that's it, and then the movie begins. So that's how I think they're going to treat this merger with Fox. They're going to treat it the same way. So when you watch something like, let's say, Dark Phoenix, it'll probably have the Marvel Studios logo in front of it, and then the 20th Century Fox logo, or 20th Century Fox and the Marvel Studios. But that'll be the only thing that distributes it, but that'll be the only difference, or the only thing that makes it feel like it's not Disney related, except maybe you'll have Marvel Studios the Marvel Studios logo coming on after the 20th Century Fox logo. So yeah, this is a big deal. And again, if you're a fan of some of the shows like Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, and American Dad, they may not touch them. They may still let them be as they are even before the merger. You know, like I said, because they could probably treat the Fox situation, let Fox kind of be its own entity like they do Marvel and Lucasfilms. But don't be surprised if they do kind of dabble, stick their fingers into those properties. And I wouldn't put it past them to take two of those properties, like the ones I mentioned earlier, Family Guy and American Dad, and decide to basically cut ties with them and let somebody else, you know, take a hold of them down the line. Because to them, Simpsons and Bob's Burgers would probably be the most logical, if not the easiest, to kind of tone down. So don't be surprised if that happens. But yeah, it is a surreal moment. It is a surreal moment for a lot of us to know every 20th Century Fox movie we probably own on Blu-ray, DVD, and VHS, they're now essentially a Disney movie. They're part of the Disney movie property. And that's another reason this was done as well. So that with Disney Plus, the new streaming service on its way, Disney will be able to expand the video library and offer a bigger catalog of shows and movies to the subscribers to their service. So that's a pretty cool. So if you think about it, that's a really good deal, especially if the pricing for a monthly subscription is going to be more cheaper than anybody can imagine. I mean, they already announced that every Disney animated film is going to be part of the streaming service right off the bat. So you can't really blame it. But anyway, this is a huge deal, and now that when you look at some of the shows and movies that get distributed under the Fox video license, now you could say, you know what? We might as well go on our computer and print out miniature size or edit in miniature size a Walt Disney Home Video logo and stick it on the side of our movies and series that we have, because now they're Disney properties and now these are Disney videos. So, but yeah, it's a big deal. It's kind of a change, if you will. But if you're a Marvel fan, this is something you've been looking forward to, because now the MCU could truly be what everybody's hoping it to be, or hoping it's going to be, starting with Phase 4 in the future, or the next phase of Marvel movies, MCU movies in the future. So, but that's really what I'm going to say on it, guys. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like, and I will talk to y'all later. But hey, let's see what they do with this merger now complete.